this is a session that is important for all those people who, no matter what stream of education they're doing, aspire to join the government, IAS, appearing for UPSC and all. So we have three very young and experienced people here. And I'm going to conduct this session as a FAQ for you guys as to, so my first question, if I may, Mr. Ranjan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, please.
Give us like 2 reasons why people should get into public service, why it is a rewarding career option. I will ask all 3 of you. Then I'm going to come and ask you, what do the students need to do to get there? And then we will get into the more deeper negative issues also.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
But like a rapid round, we'll do this so that we get more content into the 30 minutes.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. Well, just to put the topic in the right perspective and context, I'd like to say this. Yes, public service today is a magnet for millions. Millions, look at the civil service examination. As far as you know, as many as 12 lakh people register for the prelim examination. Up to 5 lakh to 6 lakh actually write the examination. And only 600 to 700 are selected, finally. And in the IAS in particular, only about 180 are selected. So that shows the small percentage of people who actually get selected. But still, people spend so many years writing this examination, spending years at a stretch, staying in hostels, staying in Rajendra Nagar, staying in Mukherjee Nagar, Delhi, and doing this. Public service actually, why is it a rewarding career? I just like to say, just a small example I give of my own self. I also did my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. And after that, I got a placement. I got a placement in Mumbai, in a multinational corporation. And I went there and worked there for several months. But then, it came to me from inside that this is not what I want to do in life. I want to do something different. I want to go for public service. I go for civil service. Why? I thought I wanted to make a larger or a more direct. I'm not saying the corporate sector does not make a contribution. It makes a great contribution. But I wanted to make a very direct contribution, to the lives of the people, touch as many lives as possible. And that excited me. And that's why, I resigned and wrote the IAS and I got selected and I came into this. So the first thing, why a person should come into public services, the motivation must be, if he is interested in doing something for the citizens, if he is interested in improving the quality of life of the people, if that excites him, then he should come for public service.
Mr. John, is that the core of your desire to be in public service, is to make a difference?
Yeah. So good evening and thank you for the opportunity. So you were asking why people should, opt for the civil services.
Is it a dream career and why?
Yeah. So 2 things. One, it's a great career. It's a great career choice. So I don't think there is any other career in India which gives the diversity that the Indian Administrative Service gives, or for that matter, other civil services gives. As an IAS officer, 3 months back, I was a district magistrate in one of the districts of Tamil Nadu, and now I am the managing director of a public transport company. So I don't know where I'll be in the next year or so. So it gives that diversity in challenges, and it is very interesting on a daily basis. Your challenges changes. Your opportunities changes. So it's a new day on a daily basis. So that's one. Secondly, why people should choose the civil services? Because India needs its best as civil servants. The responsibility and the opportunities for a civil servant, even in any of the service for that matter, is very huge. And we need our best candidates in the service. That is 2 reasons I would say why our youth should opt for the civil service.
Okay, so you said that India needs its best to be in public service. But does the government use the best as the best? Because one of the lines that IAS officers always say that as soon as they attain some expertise in a subject, they are transferred. So you become like jack of all, master of none kind of thing, and you keep shifting. But I take the point of the diversity of opportunities that you get and to crack problems in different areas.
So, sorry if I can respond to that. Generalization, being a generalist in itself is a specialty. It's not easy to be a generalist. You can get specialist for anything. You can get a consultant. You can get a person with an expert opinion. But to see various expert opinions and to bring all those things to the table and put in a way which can be of use to a problem, that needs a separate skill, and I would call that skill is being a generalist. Thank
Well
you.
said. But here's how I would frame it. I would say that the ability to execute ideas is what is the core to being in public service. I'd like to hear your views of why you chose public service. What's your background?
So my background is in commerce, sir. I've done bachelor's in commerce actually from abroad. And I also worked in New York for a couple of years. And at that time, the question was whether should I do an MBA, whether should I go into some other corporate role. But I realized that I came back to India in 2015 and I qualified for civil services in the 16. So at that point, I realized that India was at its cusp of doing things in a very different way, even in the government. And that is what I'm realizing in the last 6-7 years of my experience now, that there is so much problem solving, there is so much contribution, there is so much from changing the public service from just having individual driven to systems driven. So that quality of life, as sir said, people's quality of life can improve. I think there is great exposure for young college students, for young Indians, and I think that is why people should join the civil services.
Mr. Ranjan, if the students want a reality check, now you're the most experienced person on this panel, and now you're a teacher and academic also. What is the reality check that they should have? What is the downside to it? What is it that you need to be able to navigate to be in public service?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'll agree with my colleagues out here that it's indeed a very rewarding career. I spent 38 years in the IAS, and each day was thrilling. Each day was full of excitement. And every day I felt I was doing something new, something creative, and actually contributing. So I think that this service gives this opportunity, the diversity and the kind of work you're doing. It gives you that reward by itself, inner satisfaction. Then, about navigating and how you go about, you mentioned a thing about frequent transfers. That is true. That is a reality. That frequent transfers, and they are more in some states as compared to others. I come from UP, perhaps UP has been guilty of that kind of a thing much more than my states from which my friends are from. But then, yes, that is a kind of an occupational hazard which you have to go through. And then second thing, of course, is about you have to navigate the political aspect also. You're working in a political system, especially the IAS is working in a political system, and today the electorate, in our democracy, the politician is the master. He is the boss. And so you have to work along with the politician, and there's sometimes, political intervention is necessary in a democracy. But then sometimes you face political interference. And that political interference is what you have to navigate. That becomes very important because you take an oath to the Constitution, to the rule of law as a civil servant. You have to go by that. A politician has to go by what his voter is saying. And that is where the conflict sometimes comes, very often, between the civil servant and the politician. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that I say they come from different universes, the politician and the civil servant. They're a different viewpoint altogether. But then, I think you have to respect the politician because he knows the people. He understands the pulse of the people. He is a genuine leader from the masses, from the ground level. So you must show respect to the politician. At the same time, you know that you have to go by the rule of law or by the Constitution, what that's right. You should not get into the unholy nexus with the politician, which is what is the topic of criticism very often. The unholy nexus leading to criminal nexus also at times, which I think that is very detrimental for the civil service as such. For anyone becoming a civil servant or aspiring to become one, he has to keep this in mind that I have to follow and tread by the straight path.
So you're from Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
So can you give us a quick case study of the downside and the reality, how you navigated it?
Many things happen. I'll say, for instance, just to give an example, on both sides I'll give you. I can appreciate the political people also. I remember sometimes the politician comes with me a problem and the officers give a different viewpoint altogether. For example, he said this alignment of the road should go in this manner and not in this manner. When the engineers are saying something different. But when I, as a district magistrate, went to the field, I found what the politician was saying was right. Because they understood what was really going to help the people. So never distrust the politician, that's what I say. But the other side is, as you said, very often that happens sometimes. I remember when I was in this education sector only, and I was trying to recruit a director for one of the top engineering institutes. I wanted to make that engineering institute to the level of IIT or something and bring it about. And I thought I'll recruit purely on merit. But here was a minister, somehow he was the chairman of the board of governors. And he was the chairman of the interview committee. And he had pre-decided whom he wanted to select for various reasons. I was not going to highlight those reasons. But he had decided. I packed my committee with director IIM, director IIT and everything so that we could force upon him the right choice. But no, at the end of the interview, he said, no, nothing doing. And finally, when we insisted, he just banged his fist on the table and said, I'm leaving. Either it's my man or it's nobody. I'm leaving. And then I was stuck, what to do with that situation. But finally, I went around him then. I had to go up to the chief minister. I went to the chief minister, wrote a note, sent the whole thing, and the chief minister summoned me, talked to me, and finally she kind of saw my point and agreed, and then the kind of a meeting was held with all of us together, and I was able to have half my way. There were two directors. The chief minister finally got a compromise solution. You take one from your side and you take one from the minister's side. So that's the kind of thing that happened.
What is your view? Now, you're relatively young to this. What batch are you from?
2013. 2013.
Oh, very young. Okay. So what's the learning curve for you?
The state of Tamil Nadu gives reasonably good tenures. Like I was telling, I was a DM. I did around 2 years and 6 months as a DM. So,
So 2 years and 6 months is a good tenure.
it is.
Reasonably good tenure,
In a
yes.
particular post, it is. Yeah.
2 to 3 years is a good tenure.
Good tenure as in a particular post, yes. So regarding the reality check you were asking, I think we can break it up into two parts. One is regarding the exam, the UPSC exam, and secondly regarding the service.
No, we'll come to the qualification later. I want people, the youngsters here who are looking at UPSC, at public service as a career, to know the reality of life. When you get into public service, how do you navigate, say, transition? AIDMK is in power, then DMK comes into power, or in the case of Uttar Pradesh, SP, BSP, now BJP. In Jindal state, of course, it is a little difficult to figure out who's in power at times, but how do you navigate this? What is your experience been in terms of managing the political system?
So I think I may not be as wise as Alok Ranjan sir due to his seniority. But the thing is that what I have seen, and from my little experience, what I see is that as long as you do your job, and you do your job alone, you'll be fine. You do fine. Like our job and our responsibility is to the Constitution, and we are positioned in a particular post to do a particular job. As long as you are good in that, and as long as your allegiance is to the Constitution, it should be fine. There is no problem. But there is one issue which we many times miss is the challenges on a daily basis you feel. It is very stressful to be in the IAS or to be running departments or to be running a district. The challenges and issues will come on a daily basis, and it is stressful at times also. So that is the reality I think we should face. When we see the stories of toppers clearing the exam and give speeches and all that, many a times we don't see what is awaiting you on the other end of the
So
table.
what you're saying is that it's not a cushy job.
I would not say that, yeah.
Okay.
But this is what you are signing up for. These are the challenges
Yeah,
which is there.
that's precisely the idea. Students, youngsters should know what they're signing up for. There should not be any illusion that they are going to sort of get into and there will be a powerful post, because a government position comes with its own trappings of power. 4 people are around you, somebody saluting you. When you're Zilla Parishad, you're the king of the Zilla. So what is your experience been?
So my experience has generally been very positive. First of all, political neutrality is very, very important in our career, because in fact it is looked up by politicians. If we are political neutral, it is actually liked by the political leadership, because they know we are interested in our work, we are interested in delivering what we have to deliver for schemes, for whatever the programs of the government are. So our priority, and for young students, I think in a lot of popular TV series, you will see politicians, it is showcased in this TV series that there is this constant struggle or battle between the bureaucrats and the politicians, but it is not that. There could be rare instances of that when publicly you see that, but whenever I have presented my logic, my reasoning to a political leader, they appreciate it. But it has to be logical, it has to be backed by facts, it has to be backed by some government orders, and then a way is sought in order to do the public good. So I think, sir, overall, that is how I have approached the services, and it has been overall positive.
So I'll start from that end now. There is a perception among people that Babu log, the Babudam doesn't deliver. They are all apathetic, they are lethargic, they don't solve problems, they don't care because they have had it made. So why do you think that perception is? And do IAS officers have an incentive to do better? Is the incentive process aligned?
Sir, I think that's very, very important question today, because definitely there is a perception among the people. In fact, the first day I went to my office, first month, I remember I went and sat in the different departments to see what was the public footfall and how was the public being treated. And definitely there is much to improve. When it comes to a service delivery, there is much that desires to be improved. Now to do that, the whole idea, now governments are, like the way I like to think about it, government is a monopoly. So the government servant who's sitting there, the lower bureaucracy, a lot of times that apathy or that lack of care, lack of empathy for the person coming into the office is because of this monopolized behavior. So I think that has to change over time. And it has happened in a lot of offices. Like in Maharashtra, there is something called right to services. You can go apply for over 100 services online, and there is a very specific time-bound manner in which you should get those services. 10 years back, sir, those certificates would take months. And now it takes literally 24 hours to get them. So things have improved a lot, but there is a lot we have to do. And I think in the next 10 years, technology is going to transform that. And civil servants are definitely working in that route.
John, any thoughts on it?
I would beg to differ that I actually think that, the civil service delivers to an extent. As in, we have done reasonably well for a country with its inherent complexities and issues and the challenges that we are facing. And in my opinion, to an extent of this can also be contributed to the Indian civil service also. Yes, there are issues, absolutely, and many of them are getting addressed. Some issues have to be addressed also. But to phrase it in a lighter vein, many of the time my experience with customer services of any utility for that matter, private utilities, many of the time they are much worse.
You're saying that we are not worse off than those guys.
No, much worse than what probably I have seen as a non-bureaucrat. I mean, when I was in college or something. So as any organization which deals with millions of people on a daily basis, we have to improve our work, and we have to improve the way we interact with our customers, or probably our the behavior with the general public as such. But I think on a whole we are done reasonably well. Yeah.
Mr. Alok Ranjan, I'm not going to ask you to say with that where the bureaucracy lacks. You've seen it up close and personal. There is a feeling that IAS officers do not get the room to deliver. I want you to quickly respond to that, whether in your career, in your long career, and you've been Chief Secretary of UP, and you know the largest state, the most populous state. What is that one key that needs to be changed in the service rules for IAS officers to be able to deliver?
Actually, let's put it that way. It's not that they don't get room to deliver. They do get room to deliver, and a lot of IAS officers have been delivering a lot also in whichever job or assignment they've taken up. But there are certain issues, certainly, that do come up here and there, which inhibit the, ability of the IAS officer to deliver. As I mentioned, the political interference, this aspect which I mentioned at the beginning, very often this aspect inhibits the officer from doing his best possible. That kind of pressure which are there on him, that kind of pulls and shoves which he is not able to really get out the best or what he really wants to bring out, what he's really aiming for. But still, I would say that in my 38 years of career, and even in a state like Uttar Pradesh, where I spent 33 years, is a highly politicized state, I could deliver. I felt satisfaction every day that whatever I wanted to do, I could do. Maybe not 100%, but 70 to 80%, I could do what I wanted to do because the politician or the system itself does not stop you from doing many things. They interfere only in some areas. Where they interfere, there may be some issues. Okay. Secondly, just to highlight, one point which does happen is, as the management people will understand, that you need to deliver the right man in the right place or the right team. So very often the IAS officer is heading a team, but he is not able to decide his team. He doesn't get the right kind of team. Team is decided by somebody else. People are posted from the government or on deputation, or the whole team is decided. So that sometimes also does not allow you to deliver to the extent that you would want to deliver. These are some of the issues, but then you can find your way out of it. If you are committed, if you are dedicated, if you want to do things, if self-motivated. And now, let me tell you, there is an incentive in the system. People in any cadre, in my cadre also UP, good officers have been generally getting what is known as prominent postings. Others may not be getting. Even at the highest level of promotions, not everybody is getting automatic promotion. At the secretary level to Government of India, not more than 30% of our batch is getting promoted. So these things have happened.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you quick, like a rapid fire, one Guru Mantra you can give the students to crack the UPSC. One Guru Mantra each. I'll start with you, Jindal.
From my end, sir, I think it has to be discipline. You have to be extremely disciplined. If you are disciplined, if you have a good routine, if you follow that discipline consistently, I'm very sure that you have very high chances of qualifying for civil services.
And disciplined about what?
Discipline about continuously focusing on what is the task before you. And that is, if you are appearing for civil services, you have to study. You have to study the entire syllabus. You have to finish the entire syllabus. You have to test yourself. You have to be critical about your own abilities, whether you can crack this or not. So you have to be very honest to yourself. So this discipline, if you have, definitely you have a very good chance.
Okay, Jat. One Guru Mantra.
So my advice will be to not just to listen to the toppers or the people who have actually qualified the exam, including me. So people who have qualified the exam or got into this side of the stage have that survivor bias that anything is possible. If I was able to make it, like anybody can make it. Yes, anybody can make it, but not everyone makes it also. So we always see the topper stories alone, but we need to also hear people who could not actually make it and to understand what was the reason and what was the reason for the failure, and probably to learn from them also. And one more thing that is that we always need to have a backup option also. Oh. Like many of the time, people who are preparing for the civil services get into this loop of appearing again and again, applying again and again, and doing the exam like 6 or 7 times. So we need to have a backup option, and probably a couple of times or 3 times, whatever you are going to give a shot at the exam, you decide, give your best, be disciplined, give your best in these attempts, and if at all things don't work out, it may not work out. As we were saying, out of the 1.5 million people who are appearing on a given year, only around 1,000 people clear the exam. So if for some reason, either due to us or sometimes due to a stroke of bad luck, if you're not clearing, we always should have a backup option. Okay. That's what I would say.
So backup option. Alok Ranjan ji, how many times is a good time? Now I'm going to rephrase the question. How many times is a good, should they appear twice, thrice?
No, actually this is a very good question that you asked. I've been noticing that many people are spending 5 years, 6 years, 7 years writing the civil service examination, and they're losing their entire youth preparing for the examination, where they can be productively employed anywhere else in the economy and for the country's development. In my time when I wrote the IAS in 1978, we were allowed only 3 attempts, and that's how it should be, not more than 3 attempts. Second thing is about the age also. I don't think there should be upper limit. At my time, it was 21 to 26. At best, you can have 21 to 28, but not beyond that. You are wasting people. You know, I've seen people 7 years, 6 years in writing the examination and not doing anything else, and then they're not fit for any other job also. You know, that's the kind of thing. And what you said about what they should do, number one, they should be sure they want to join the civil services, not just by the way. It's not a by the way examination. It's one of the toughest examinations going on everywhere. Second, you must have the will to succeed. You must believe in yourself that you can do it. Third, it needs dedicated and focused hard work, and at least for a year. You can't have your feet in two boats. Like I resigned from my job. I strongly believe that you can't write a civil service examination along with the job. Many can do it, but it is difficult. It's very, very difficult. Then you have to find time outside your job to spend half your night burning the midnight oil. Otherwise, spend time exclusively preparing at least for one attempt. After that, you can do whatever you want to do.
Okay, I'm a hostage of my session chairperson, but I'll take 3 questions. No? No question.
We're running behind time.
One question. Okay, one question from one student who's, if you're appearing for UPSC, then you get to ask the question.
Yes, I am appearing.
Okay. Ask your question.
My question is more than preparation. I'm asking about the civil services in general. So, with the next 25 years to come, and with the increased need of specialization and all those things and civil services reforms, according to you, what are all the crucial civil services reforms which are going to come in the future to reform the civil services to make it to deliver the services to the people?
Jindal, this is your question. You got 90 seconds.
You want to know about the civil services reforms?
Yeah, like
Correct.
we had Mission Karma Yogi on that roadmap.
I think civil services have been going through a lot of reforms. I think what is going to happen in the next 20-25 years is civil servants are going to right now play even a more important role in the governance system that we have. So one of the reforms, when you think about that, would be that the civil servants will be acquiring more and more specialization or more degrees, like you said. More, for example, a lot of civil servants now, after a few years of service, they go and study and get skilled and come back. Even Labasana has increased the trainings that we have in Mussoorie, which are interdisciplinary in nature. So there are trainings with the military, there are trainings with other departments as well. So I think that, and even with the private sector. So that is going to make civil servants even more and more dynamic in the future.
So basically, he wanted to know whether AI will replace civil service or
No,
not.
no,
That's
no.
not going to happen.
No.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.